Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk Sports with Dwayne, myself. I know it's been a while, but it's funny how it all worked out. We haven't done a show since the first week of the season, and actually, it's just been time. Little things going on. Both of us had to take care of certain things, but it's amazing that we happen to be doing a show. I don't know who's ringing my doorbell this early in the morning.
Trick or
we
treat.
we happen to be doing a show. Um, it's a mid-season show as well as a show that's basically going to be cover week 9. And before we get into the show, I'm gonna just put the standings up and we'll run through the standings real quick. Then me and Dwayne will give some thoughts on the season, what we think, and then we'll go right into week 9. Okay, here we go. Hmm.
Tell a friend to tell a friend, man. Tap into us, man. But like,
Yeah.
just tap into us. That's all
So
I'm.
in the AFC, Dwayne, AFC East, I'm gonna run through it and just stop me when you want to give a thought on the division. Buffalo 6-2, Jets 3-6, Miami 2-5, New England 2-6.
I wanna stop right there, man. Do we give aging veteran quarterbacks too much grace? All right, I know you got another man that it's a lot of people. I won't quote anybody else but us. But there's a lot of people that feel Aaron Rodgers is a certain way, right? I'm not going to say Aaron Rodgers is not a great quarterback. I saw someone on the network say that he has the best arm talent of any quarterback in the history of the NFL. But I would like to refute that because I believe Dan Marino and John Elway have better pure arm talent than Aaron Rodgers. I think we are such king of the moments, man, and people don't want to. There's another gentleman that me and Quentin Ford cut our teeth on, two gentlemen, when it comes to this media thing. And I will give them credit, Mike and the Mad Dog. And when Mad Dog's on that show on the Letter Network, the host and the co-host moderator like to always tell him stop living in the past. Well, we can't because we were born in football, me and Quentin, football of the mid to late 80s on to present day. So we've seen some greats, some all-time greats. And it's hard to compare eras, man. But I'm saying all this to say the Jets staked their whole past 2 seasons on a now 40-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles. Are we surprised their record is where it is at 3-6? Because I sure ain't. Because they keep giving this man whatever he wants. Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb. Now they gave him Devontae Adams. They gave him an offensive coordinator that he loved. They got rid of Robert Saleh. Did that look like a good decision by Woody Johnson now? So Buffalo's going to be Buffalo. They got Josh Allen. You know, they keep adding to him, giving him parts. You know, Amari Cooper is going to start getting comfortable in that system. The Patriots are the Patriots. We know what they're in for. And the Dolphins, a lot of injuries, man. Tua, a lot of unknowns. But it's true that Buffalo is the class of this division.
I gotta give Josh Allen his props. Me and you have been on him for the last 4 years when everybody was saying how great he was, saying he was arguably the number one, number two quarterback in the league. Me and you pushed back on that heavy because we felt as though that he just had so many bad turnovers leading the league. We never wanted to give him credit. However, this year, and he didn't deserve the credit. I think the letter networks, one of the things that they do is they overhype guys instead of
Mm-hmm.
just saying who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate because analysts sometimes and color guys, what they do is they get caught up in the sensationalization of the story. Josh Allen, you see the arm strength, you see the athleticism. just say who he is. He's a very talented player, but he had a lot of turnovers. So I think this year actually is his best year. Got them playing well. In reference to your story about the Jets, what's interesting about the Jets, and I'll go back even a year further. Uh, you cannot fast track your program. It doesn't work. The Jets had rebuilt their franchise with getting the GM, getting the assistant GM from Philly, coming there. He did some bold moves, got picks. Zach Wilson looked it like he wasn't going to be the player that they expected, and they jettisoned him out of the program, not realizing that a lot of young quarterbacks are struggling in the NFL. And we'll probably talk about that at another
Yeah,
time. But they chose to bench him, go get an aging veteran quarterback, and it shows that their program was where it was supposed to be. It was on its way up, and now their program has gotten worse because they jet setted their coach out of there. The expectation went sky high, and what you see by getting rid of Robert Saleh and bringing the defensive coordinator coach is now their defense is leaky. Sauce, who's been a Pro Bowler since he's been in the league, he's not even looking like the player that he potentially could have been because they're just not the same team. Definitely defensively, we all know New England is going to struggle. New England has to replenish their roster. It's going to take a couple of drafts. Miami is one of the teams that I'm worried about. And what I'm worried about is that Miami put a lot of resources towards their receivers, skill positions. We all know we all know Jalen Ramsey just got redone. But because of the quarterback situation and the uncertainty in the health of the quarterback, you don't know where they're going to be. And it has their franchise in flux. I thought they were crazy by not making a trade to stabilize their team. And 2-5, they may be too far behind the eight ball to even catch up. So that's all I really got to say about their division, Wayne.
yeah.
Uh, AFC North, Pittsburgh 6-2, Baltimore Ravens 5-3, Cincinnati Bengals 3-5, Cleveland 2-6.
Hey man, listen. 6-2, Mike Tomlin just gets it done, right? You would
Mm-hmm.
think with all the quarterback controversy, so to speak, or conversation between Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, and then you look at the reigning MVP, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow, who is always considered a top 3 to 5 quarterback in this league, and they're trailing the Steelers, man. Like
Yeah,
they're trailing the Steelers. And everyone talked about the Steelers quarterback situation. Hey,
it's
listen,
it's it's funny because the Steelers did something, Dwayne, and me and you always talk about this when you have struggling quarterback play. The Steelers sped the game up by running the football and playing solid defense. And sometimes you just have to stabilize your franchise with keeping things close to the vest, not making bad plays. Justin Fields basically went there and revitalized his career, and then they made the change for Russell. And if you see now, the playbook is opening up for Russell. I was thinking that the Steelers are not that good, but they're not bad. They
yeah,
don't beat themselves.
listen, defense, running the football, it still works in this NFL. Like, listen, we're a passing league. Everybody knows it's won and lost for the most part on the arm of the quarterback. But Mike Tomlin just wants the quarterbacks to make just enough plays. Like, man, does he get enough credit as a head coach
Mm,
like he
no,
is?
no, you don't.
Um, People always talk about, well, when's the last time he been in the Super Bowl? When is the time? This man doesn't have sub 500 season. And I want to know who thought the Steelers would be where they are right now. Because I didn't. Because I didn't know what Justin Fields and Russell Wilson was. Who are their wide receivers besides George Pickens? Like,
Austin and Jefferson,
you know,
listen, and
yeah,
they
like
still, from the word is they're still looking for receiver help.
still look at the word is they wanted Christian Kirk, but then he got lost for the season. I mean, is Najee Harris having a great start of the season? I wouldn't say so, but strong special teams, strong defense, and doing just enough on offense can work in this league, and they're proving it. So Will the Baltimore Ravens catch up to them eventually and pass them in this division? I think so. But hey, man, when we gonna start knocking Joe Burrow a little bit?
Mm.
Like we always make excuses for Joe Burrow, right? This man still has Lamar Chase. I know T. Higgins has been kind of up and down. Look, I got $1 million question for everybody. And me and Quentin Ford talked about this in the offseason. How much you think they miss Joe Mixon now?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. We always talk about Dwayne. The salary cap is the salary cap is the salary cap. It don't change for individual teams, but
Oh,
Joe Burry and Jamar Chase, and I will go on record saying this. I want players to get paid. I want players to get their money, definitely if they deserve it, because this is the once in a chance in a lifetime and something they all work for. However, what I noticed, and I'm gonna always say this: get your ass in camp, man.
yeah, man.
Because every player that I see that comes to camp late, you may come out hitting the ground running, but it's always some weird hamstring, lower leg injury, whatever. And if you look at Jamar Chase, it's been something's been off with their chemistry. He's still scoring, and they still got the chemistry that they've had, but it's something's off with their team. And the pecking order is just a little confused with the situation that happened with Boyd and T Huggins. Not T Huggins was so great in the slot for them. Cleveland, I find it interesting. I think Jameson Winston is becoming a football guy's friend. Like everybody's liking the Jameson Winston story, how he stuck up for Deshaun Watson when they were bullying Deshaun Watson off of his terrible Achilles injury. I think Cleveland, I think Stefanski, he got away from, and it's unfortunate because of the injuries he might have thought he had to do in the beginning of the year. He got away from their base. He got away from running the football. Chubb just came back. I just think that Cleveland needs to do a soft rebuild right now. Word is Zarius Smith is on the trade block. So we'll see going forward.
Listen, I like the story of Jameis Winston, man. Jameis is proven to be a solid quarterback, man. He came in, I mean, whatever you want to think about his post game homage to Slim Shady Eminem, whatever. I didn't care for it, but whatever. Um, he's showing himself to be a leader. The offense looked a lot different with him at control, especially when you think they lost their number one receiver in Amari Cooper, and Jameis still threw for over 300 last week. Do they have a run in them? Maybe they do. I still think Miles Garrett is pound for pound the best defensive player in the NFL. So they may have a run in them. That's a very interesting division.
And they beat Baltimore, and people will say how they it was an upset. There are no upset in the division. There anytime you play a division game, I don't care what the records say, there's no such thing as an upset. Baltimore, after starting out the season 0-2, they had one on a 5 game winning streak. I think Baltimore was tired,
Mhm.
but it's no upset. AFC South, we got a lot to say about the team that's 6-3, Houston Texans, Colts 4-4, Jacksonville 2-6, Tennessee Titans 1-6.
Well, I like to say I'm surprised that the Tennessee Titans is 1-6, but I'm not. You put your faith in Will Levis, and this is what you get. Will Levis is not a good NFL quarterback. He couldn't beat out Sean Clifford at Penn State. People think like, oh well, whatever. No, he couldn't beat out Sean Clifford at Penn State. He was decent at Kentucky, but I would not stake the future of my franchise on Will Levis, and the Titans decided to do that, and they're in a full-fledged rebuild right now. We're gonna see what Carthon does down there. You know, the coach that they have there. You know, you get rid of a coach like Mike Vrabel, man, who was just very solid. So we're gonna see what happens. But we're in the last days of Doug Peterson in Jacksonville, and we talk about quarterbacks, and I know contracts are given based on where you're at in your career and where you are in the pecking order. But We talk about a lot of quarterbacks being overpaid. I don't see it with Trevor Lawrence. I thought Trevor Lawrence was going to be great in the NFL. That's $55 million put into him, and he doesn't seem to get better. He just doesn't seem to get better. Um, the Colts, you're 4-4, but you gave up on your top five draft pick from last year. You gave up on Anthony Richardson. And you're putting the ball in Joe Flacco's hands, who's a veteran, who's been in this league for 17 years, who's won a Super Bowl many, many years ago, but had a nice run with the Browns last year. And so we'll see what the Colts will be with Jonathan Taylor and with Trevor Lawrence I'm sorry, and with Joe Flacco going forward. As far as the Texans at 6-3, they're the class of the division. They're beat up right now. They got a lot of injuries. We know Diggs is gone for the year. We know that Nico Collins is hurt. So your number one receiver right now is Tank Dell. They got Joe Mixon, who I love. But were we too quick to crown CJ Stroud as a top five quarterback in this league? Now, I know people on the letter networks is making excuses. Well, his offensive line's hurt. This person's hurt. That person's hurt. That's the story of a lot of teams. Okay? CJ Stroud has yet to prove that he's what they gave him in the offseason. We got to give these guys time, man. We got to give these guys time to develop. I'm not saying CJ Stroud will not be a great quarterback in this league. I just think they crowned him too fast.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about the division. You kind of summed it up, and I agree with everything you're saying. I'm surprised at Ron Carthon down in Tennessee because he put a lot of resources to the free agency, and it's kind of blown up on his face with the receivers, the running back room. Like he spent a lot of resources. Another one. Sometimes when you're in the rebuild mode, you can rebuild with draft and you can rebuild with free agency, but you got to be very careful not to try to fast track your rebuild. Definitely when you're not stable in that quarterback position. So they're going to struggle as long as they don't get a better signal caller. AFC West.
Hey, man,
Well, what else fails?
what you gonna say, man? Like, we go into this year in, year out, and we want to give that team in Dallas all the publicity on these letter networks, all the publicity everywhere. Cowboys, 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 24/7. Meanwhile, this Kansas City Chief team how is a team that is going for a three-peat? How are they able to fall under the radar as far as media coverage? If you look at Patrick Mahomes, no quarterback in the history of this league has started their career the way this young man has started his career. Yet no one talks about the Kansas City Chiefs, man. Look what he's doing with it this year. Like, he's had people be injured. D Hop's gonna be a big addition to him. Kareem Hunt is looking good once again. Now that he's in the starting running back position. And they just get it done. They just get it done, man. So they're gonna win this division easy because look at the three teams that's in the division with them. Sean Payton is proving that he's a very darn good coach in these NFLs to have the Denver Broncos at 5-3 with a rookie quarterback and Bo Nix. Jim Harbaugh, it's going to take time for the Chargers to get in line with the way that he wants to play football. Him and Justin Herbert's going to be a very interesting mix. Because Harbaugh just wants to play the game close to the vest. He wants to win with defense, a strong running game, and strong special teams. But Herbert wants to throw the ball all over the field. So that's going to be interesting. And the Raiders are the Raiders. Las Vegas is Las Vegas, man. So the Chiefs will win that division going away.
I think that the only thing I say about the division, two things. Andy is Andy, and Sean Payton. I'm intrigued by what he has done in there in the 2 years, and I think that he's giving a master class to these younger GMs and younger coaches on how to rebuild a franchise back. He's changed. He's turning over that roster while still being competitive, And I think that, given the ownership group and how much money they have and who he is, they have so much leeway that a lot of teams need to follow his lead and really understand how you turn over a roster and get the players to understand your program and continue to be good. NFC East, or could I say the NFC least, in my personal opinion?
Well, it's interesting. You got two teams at the top of the division that I would say is two of the top teams in the NFC.
Mm.
Like, you got to give Washington credit. They're 6-2. The Eagles, even though people were talking about them earlier in the season, they're 5-2. They're right there. You know, the team with the star in their helmet is a terrible season. They're 3-4, but they're two back in the loss column and haven't played a lot of division games. They play one division game against the Giants. This is what all three of these teams have in common. They've all played the Giants and they've all beat the Giants, but they haven't played each other yet. So it's a wide open division. The Giants, hey man, the Giants are who they've been for the last 7 to 8 years. Just not a good football team, not a good franchise. They're gonna have to start over. You can't re-sign Daniel Jones after you just gave him $40 million the last 2 years, and he's not getting better. And you
And
gave up Barkley to a division rival.
the one thing that compounds the Giants' issue uh, with the quarterback is in the last 10, 12 years, the Giants have spent so much of their resources with trying to rebuild their offensive line. They've had good college players who we think have potential. They've drafted them and they just have not fanned out. I cannot say they haven't tried. They tried through free agency with that Nate Soldier debacle. They tried this year with revamping their line. I mean, it's getting to the point now where it's becoming a place where good linemen go to careers die. Like we're talking about epic bad line play, and we're talking about good players, potentially really solid players where you're like, okay, they could do something with this line. But for some reason, these guys just have not fanned out.
If you look at the standings, you'll see something very interesting with this division. You got the two teams at the bottom of the division who have not won a home game. Giants have not won at MetLife, and the Cowboys have not won at AT&T Stadium. It's very weird. It's very
The
weird.
the, the Eagles situation, the Eagles are intriguing because I will say their defense is getting a diff. What it is funny about the Eagles is as the great Warren Sapp used to say is that the front end, the back end don't work against the front end unless the front end work. The front end is getting better. Down the linebackers is getting better. The secondary, I don't know, but the Eagles are so talented offensively that Jalen Hurts, with all due respect, and I know a lot of people feel like he's this really good quarterback. All he got to do is drive the bus. And I know a lot of people don't want to be game managers, but game managers win games. And that's all Jalen Hurts needs to do is just look, run when you got to run and complete a couple passes because they're so skilled offensively that it's kind of hard to mess it up. The Commanders, we saw how they won last week. The Commanders are just see the thing about certain teams when you get the talent and you go get a coach that coaches to the talent, he's able to cover their warts and not beat themselves. That's the key for the Commanders. Don't turn the ball over and get turnovers. That's what DQ preaches. We know his system well. We know he's never going to be able to stop the run because he's going to have a light safety basically playing linebacker. Nothing's changed. And he's not going to make too many in-game adjustments. I'm surprised how much Washington is scoring on offense. But when you look at it, they're finally really living up to their potential. The Jahan Dotson trade to the Eagles was probably the steal of the season so far.
Yeah,
'Cause
I'm not surprised in Washington scoring the points they're scoring, just because that's who their offensive coordinator is. It's who Cliff Kingsbury is. He runs an offense that's going to score a lot of points. And the defense is rounding into shape with DQ. We know how DQ is, but we also know how DQ is when that calendar turns and we start getting the November and December football. So we're going to see what happens with the Washington Commanders going forward.
Yeah, yeah. NFC North, arguably the most competitive division, no losing team in the division, arguably the most intriguing division.
It's no
Um,
arguably at all. It is the best division in football. This is a Hail Mary away from being three teams with two losses and one team with one. A Hail Mary away. The Chicago Bears were almost 5-2. And so you got the Lions at 6-1, the Packers at 6-2, Minnesota at 5-2, and Chicago at 4-3. There's no more competitive division in football, man. You could potentially have a division winner and two wild cards. Coming, it's not unheard of. It's happened before. You remember a couple of years ago where you had the Eagles win the division, and you had the Cowboys and the Giants make the wild card. So who's saying that Detroit doesn't win this division, and then you have Green Bay and Minnesota as wild cards? And Chicago still has something to say about it.
hmm
So it's going to be very interesting. I think Detroit needs to, before the trade deadline, which is this week coming up, I think they need to get them a pass rusher, especially with the loss of Aiden Hutchinson. I think they need to go out if it's the Browns and they get Smith or what may have you. I think they need to get a pass rusher. Jared Goff is solid. They got a two-headed monster in the backfield. Amon-Ra St. Brown is who he is. They got a good tight end. They got the best offensive line in football for my money. And they got Dan Campbell as coach and Aaron Glenn as the defensive coordinator and who some will say is the best offensive coordinator, and Johnson. So the Lions have everything you would think. To me, I think they should be the favorites at this point in the whole NFC conference.
This division, I'll say it. I know that records, talent, wins you games. Not only is this division the most winning division, the best division in football, I really think this division got some of the four best coaches in a division together. These guys are basically, if you watch these guys coach game in and game out, we're talking about not only just the head coaches, but when you look at the coordinators in these division, they're putting on masterpieces with their adjustments. Brian Flores is out here going off. O'Connell's going off. Uh, LaFleur is coaching his butt off. Eberflus is still coaching. He's hanging in there. Ben Johnson is doing his thing. Um, Aaron Glenn is doing his thing. Dan Campbell's doing his thing. If you want to watch premier coaching adjustments, watch this division very closely. This division will probably have two or three head coaches in the NFL come out of this season getting jobs. And I'm intrigued about this division. I think it's going to come down to the wire, and it's going to be a very, very good December for this division. With who's going to run away with it? Because right now, Detroit scoring is just incredible, but can they keep that hot streak? We don't know. So we'll see going forward.
They're 5-1 in the NFC. That's major. They're five.
NFC South, Dwayne.
Um, two-team race between Atlanta and Tampa Bay. Um, I think the Saints started off hot, right? And everybody was like, "Oh, look at the Saints! They're putting it on people." But Derek Carr got hurt, and Taysom Hill got hurt, and so now you're looking at a 2-6 team. The Panthers are the Panthers. You know they got to go back to Bryce Young because Sam Darnold. I'm sorry, not Sam Darnold. Andy Dalton's a little beat up, so they got to go back to Bryce. Let's see what he is. Um, hey man, for me, you know, a little hometown boy from Union, it's the Battle of Irvington and Elizabeth. Raheem Morris and Todd Bowles. So may the best man win. And so it'll be interesting to see what goes on with Atlanta and Tampa Bay for the stretch run.
Yeah,
And
I
then
think those two teams are clearly the best teams in the division. New Orleans, like you said, started out hot. Then the injuries piled up and they just been on the free fall. I don't even know if they could come back and catch it. These five blue win lost teams are tough. Now, when you talk about 6 and 7 lost teams, it really gets bad. Carolina, I want to apologize to Carolina for something. Carolina is the worst team in the NFL as far as record, but they're not the most dysfunctional team.
no,
I think the most dysfunctional team in the NFL is the Dallas Cowboys,
absolutely, no
and
doubt.
I'll discuss that when we get on this week's games. I just think that I thought that Carolina was the most dysfunctional team, but the most dysfunctional team in the NFL is the Dallas Cowboys.
I,
NFC West.
well, before we get to the NFC West, can I just get one more nugget on the NFC South? NFL owners, GMs, executives, TV executives. Have we seen enough of Dennis Allen as a head coach? Was it enough when he was with the Raiders and now he's with the Saints? Can we stop retreading this man and giving him head coaching position? He's terrible. He's terrible. No more Dennis Allen, man. Stop it. Give some other people a chance because he just can't get it done.
NFC West. Interesting division.
Man, they all. Who's gonna win it? All four teams have a chance to win it. You know.
I think that when Arizona, is like my pet peeve team for the draft, like the next 2 years, this past draft and then next year. I think they're going to do well in the draft, given their resources. Arizona's a weird team. They got my favorite running back, James Conner. Uh, I can't say they're that good, but they're not that bad. They're stabilizing their organization. The 49ers have been the cream of the crop of the NFC for the last 4 years, and I think that attrition, injuries, I think their window might be closing. I think it's closing because Brock Purdy's going to be due up for a contract. No Ayuk for the season. I just think the 49ers, they're going to still be good. They're going to still play well every game and be competitive, but I think the window might have been closed on them.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting, man. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I don't know who wins this. I don't know who wins this, man.
I think Seattle. I think Dwayne. When we look at the Seahawks, I think Seattle might have peaked out.
Well, no DK Metcalf now. Everybody in the world knows that I love the running back duo of Walker the Third and Charbonnet. I love those guys. Um, what's up, Sal? Hey man, we want the Giants to be good, man. It's good for us. It's good business. Hey, Tommy DeVito, man, I don't blame you. I don't know if Sal, if you heard what came out of the Giants front office, they said they're going to go with Daniel Jones till they're eliminated from playoff contention. So I asked Giant fans, once they're eliminated from playoff contention, do you want Tommy DeVito or Drew Lock?
Mm.
Tommy DeVito gave y'all a little juice last year. Tommy Cutlet gave y'all a little juice last year. And Drew Lock is Drew Lock. So, hey man, listen, we love the NFL. We're not going to be biased. As Quentin said, we're Cowboy fans, both of us. But they're a big disappointment. There's a lot of dysfunction there. But we're about, some teams got 10 left, some teams got 9 left. So it's basically the midway point. And it's going to be very interesting down the stretch, man. I'm looking forward to it. And with that, we'll get right into the 1 o'clock action. You got Miami Dolphins headed to Buffalo. Um, Quentin Ford and another one of our friends, we laugh a lot. They laugh at me a lot when I watch football. There's a couple of fans that I do. But Quentin knows that I used to be scared as hell watching Alex Smith play quarterback when he came back from that leg injury. I am now scared as hell to watch the Miami Dolphins with Tua Tagovailoa and these concussions And we also know that I get nervous when DeMar Hamlin is out there. So you couldn't pay me to watch this game because my nerves couldn't take it because I worry about these two players that are out there.
And this is the
But
game that Damar Hamlin laid the hit on Tua
yeah, so
the first time they played.
the first time. So I like Buffalo in this game. I do. I'm a big fan of Broadway, New Jersey's own Deion Dawkins. I think he's the type of lineman you want on your team. I like Buffalo in this game.
This is the time of the season where, excuse me, pardon me, you guys, pardon me. This is the time of the season where you start seeing players, teams start to pull away from the mediocre teams, the bad teams. Buffalo is going to blow Miami out. They're just going to destroy Miami.
Well, enough said there. The Denver Broncos travel to Baltimore and take on the Ravens. 2-5-3 teams. The Ravens need this one. They need this one, especially off last week losing to the Browns. I'm looking for a big game out of Lamar. I'm looking for a big game out of Derrick Henry today. And I think the Ravens take care of it. I think the defense puts a lot of pressure on Bo Nix today. So we're going to see how that young man holds up against the pressure. And it could get loud in the M&T Bank Stadium. So it's going to be very interesting. But I like the Ravens. The line right now is 9. I think they definitely cover 9 today. I like the Ravens big.
I think that it's funny. You like the Ravens big, and I think that if Denver could keep it close, Denver might upset them. If Denver could keep it close, because Denver has, we may not be talking about it, Dwayne. I know you. This is one of your favorite players. Denver has sometimes in the NFL you have great players, good players, generational players. Denver has a player on their roster where he can go cover somebody and he's locking that side of the field. We're not talking about Dion. We're talking about Darrell Reeves type of player, where Patrick Sertan Jr. could just take their receiver and he's not going to do anything. Like, period. He's got the rest of the side of the field. So if Denver could keep it close, keep Lamar and King Henry from breaking tackles. That's the key. The tackle breaking. It could be a very interesting game, but you have to pick Baltimore at home coming off their first loss in 6 weeks.
And just so we know, if you notice that we skipped the first 1 o'clock game because we're saving that for last. It's the last game we're going to break down. So next you have the Los Angeles Chargers traveling to the Cleveland Browns. 4-3 Chargers, 2-6 Browns. The spread is Chargers -1. And I'm biased, man. I think the Chargers are going to come into this game with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. I think at the end of the game, you're going to hear the hardball say, "Who got it better than us? Nobody." And I think the Chargers come into Cleveland and win this game.
If you know anything about Harbaugh, this is Harbaugh basically going back to his roots. When he was a coach of 49ers, he would always go to Youngstown because that's where their family roots is from. He Harbaugh is going to do Harbaugh and the Chargers for the Charger fans, for people that like this new football. They're the most boring team to watch in the NFL. But he's going to be in games and they're going to play competitive. If they could just stop Derwin James from getting these penalties, they could have their full roster. And we have to remember, the Chargers are loaded on defense. They have a good, talented defense. So if the Chargers can peel off 5-6 wins in a row, watch out because they're going to be tough. Because defense and running travels.
Yeah. So next up is a game I'm not going to spend a lot of time on, folks. You got the New Orleans Saints traveling to Carolina Panthers as a 2-6 team versus a 1-7 team. And I'm a quote Coach Prime when he used to be on NFL, and he would say, "Nobody cared, nobody cared, nobody cared." I'm not even picking that game because nobody cares.
Nobody cares, folks. So you're Dwayne. Nobody cares.
Next up,
And the Carolina Panthers are on the clock.
they're on the clock. Do they go quarterback? I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I will tell you this: for the team that I root for, hey man, if they want to get rid of Bryce Young, hey man, whatever. All right, Las Vegas Raiders at 2-6 travel to Cincinnati to take on the 3-5 Bengals. And I'm just gonna say one thing about this: the Bengals better win.
If the Bengals don't win, that's the end of their season. Their season was on the brink. What's funny is the only way that I think the Raiders can beat the Bengals is play keep away, because the Bengals don't have a defense and they're just trying to outscore teams. But I think
So
the Bengals will win.
again, it's 8 games in this 1 o'clock window. 8. But you got a division rivalry. The Washington Commanders travel to New York for the New York Giants. The Commanders are a 4-point favorite. I'm taking Danny Dimes Jones and the underdog Giants to come out, win their first home game at MetLife, and just infuse some life into their season. I think Dable is going to coach this like his job is on the line. I think Malik Neighbors will have a big, big day today. And I say Danny Dimes throws for 3 touchdowns,
One one
1 interceptions today. And the
one thing
Giants
about
beat.
the Giants and the Giant fans, it is a drastic difference when the Giants play at 1 o'clock with those fans and the fans that be there at the 4 or 7 o'clock window. And what I mean by that is that if you know anything about the Giants, the older fan base likes to play these 1 o'clock games. The Giants will perform in front of that fan base, and the reason why I say that is because Washington travels well, but they won't be able to travel well at that 1 o'clock game at the Giant Stadium,
Yeah, because
MetLife.
you're gonna have the true giant diehards in there.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know when NFL's gonna get it, man. Like Daniel Dobbs is now 1-15 in primetime games.
yeah.
Like they just don't perform well in prime time. But at 1 o'clock, they show up to play. So I like the Giants today.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. 1 o'clock, the seventh 1 o'clock game that we'll go over. The 2-6 Patriots travel to the 1-6 Titans. Nobody care. Don't nobody care.
And the Tennessee Titans is on the clock.
Don't nobody care. Okay, 4 o'clock. A very, very. This is the most intriguing game of the day for me. Just for me, the little guy. 4-3 Bears travel to the 4-4 Cardinals. It's basically a pick'em game. The Cardinals are a 1.5 point favorite. I think off of last week and that heartbreaking loss, Stevenson has been benched for his actions. They're saying he's not starting today. Um, I like the Bears to go in there and win and improve their record to 5-3. Interested to see how Caleb Williams bounces back and plays today. Um, the Cardinals, again, quietly, they're having a pretty decent season. And little Mighty Mouse Kyler Murray, he's out there throwing it around. Marvin Harrison Jr. has proven who he is, folks. I know he's in Arizona and you're not seeing him a lot. And I know everybody is all on Malik Neighbors as the rookie wide receiver and Rome Odunze. Marvin Harrison Jr. is that guy. But I like the Bears today on the road.
It's funny. I'm glad that Eaglefoot did that to Stevens. I think that Eaglefoot, this is when he takes as much as criticism as he's gotten, and he possibly might be on his last and first head coaching job. This is a pivotal game for him to see how he could bounce back that team after that heartbreaking loss. This is when I think that he takes control of that franchise. This is going to be Caleb Williams coming out game.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, a 4:05 game that was supposed to be Sunday Night Football got flexed out of there. And I understand why it got flexed out of there. You got the 2-6 Jacksonville Jaguars traveling to Philly to take on the 5-2 Eagles. It's the return of Dougie P to the place where he won a Super Bowl championship. I don't trust Trevor Lawrence, and I don't trust the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think Doug Peterson has lost this team. Now, let me just tell you this. I'm a Doug Peterson fan. I think he's a very good coach, but I think he's lost this team. And though it pains me to say it, I think the Eagles are about to get on a roll. and I like the Eagles to roll the Jaguars today by
You
at
know,
least 13.
it's funny because even though Jacksonville plays in a small market, they got the resources with the owner. They got a franchise quarterback, talent wise. Just they got our boy Dougie P. They got everything. They're loaded when you look at receivers, running backs, Etienne, all this talent. Now all of a sudden they saying he's not working out well down there. This is just prime pickings for the Eagles to continue playing well. This is just the worst game. I do think that they're gonna go into their bag to show that they made the right decision by getting rid of Doug Peterson, even though I thought it was one of the worst decisions. They're gonna show out and show up against Dougie Peterson today.
Okay, the big one. Well, we're gonna wait. We'll go Rams. Los Angeles Rams traveling to Seattle today. 425. The Rams are a road favorite. Um, I'm gonna go with the 12th man. I'm gonna go with Seattle. I'm hoping they can get that running game going with Walker the third and Charbonnet. I hope Gino does just enough. I know Metcalf is not there, but you still got who, for our money, I hate to speak for Quentin, but for our money, the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL, Lockett. No one ever mentions this guy.
Probably the last 10 years.
No one ever mentions this guy. But all he does is show up week after week after week after week and produce. A little biasness again. I'm a big Mike McDonald fan, but I'm a big AD fan, the defensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks. I like the Seahawks today.
Yeah. Um, I like the Rams. The way
Oh,
the way they play with Puka Nakua is just different.
hopefully he plays. I know he's still a little
Yeah,
banged.
it's a touch and go thing. The Rams are an average NFL team, and what I mean average is you got some teams that can play well, they could win without playing well. If you watch Kansas City the last 3 weeks, Kansas City's winning, but they're not playing well. The rest of the league, most of the rest of the league, as soon as they start getting injuries, it starts getting bad. The Rams is if they got their receivers there, they're going to be competitive. So I think this might be a really good shootout, though.
Okay.
But I'm gonna pick the Rams.
I'm going to skip, which I think is going to be the headline, a banger game today. Headliner for most people. Again, I'm more intrigued by Browns Cardinals. I'm sorry, Bears Cardinals. So I'll skip the headliner 425 game for now because I don't think either primetime game matches up. And so we'll go to Sunday night and we'll go with the Joe Flacco led Colts traveling to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. I think the Vikings get back straight. I think Sam Darnold gets back straight. And I think the Vikings take out the Colts tonight. A game that was flexed in the prime time on NBC tonight at 8:20. I like the Vikings to win this game over the Colts.
I don't think I don't think the Colts stand a chance. I just this is a bad game. This will be a Sunday night game that they probably wish they could flex it back out. This will probably be the game where most of America is getting ready, getting their stuff ready for work for the week. This is just going to be a tough game. I don't even know if me and Dwayne, honestly, as a viewer, we'll probably watch the first quarter and then we'll be talking about, yo, I talked to you nothing in the morning. This is how
Yeah,
bad. This is how bad this game could possibly be.
it's an equalizer night on CBS, and
Yeah,
Travis, those two pretty good Sunday night shows. All right, Monday Night Football. Tampa Bay at 4-4 goes into Kansas City at 7-0, and Kansas City will be 8-0.
I'm gonna pick Tampa Bay.
Oh, so you think the Chiefs
I'm
lose
I'm
their first
I'm
game?
picking Todd Bowles
Okay, I feel you. I'm still
because the
going.
way Kansas City's playing right now, their offense is struggling. I think Tampa Bay, when you look at Bucky Irving, you look at Evans, you look at how their offensive coordinators calling their offense is playing close to the vest. They can score a lot of play action. I think that Todd Bowles is gonna coach a gem against Kansas City. I think it's gonna be Kansas City's first loss.
I think you see a multiple touchdown performance out of Xavier Worthy this week on Monday Night Football. I like the Chiefs. So we're gonna go to the game where Burkhart and Brady will be today. 425, the Detroit Lions travel to Lambeau Field to take on the Green Bay Packers. Reports have this morning that Love will play in this game. But hey man, Malik Willis has been playing pretty good when he's been getting his opportunities. Um, I'm taking the Packers because the game is in Lambeau. So I think the Packers come out on top over the Detroit Lions today.
Yeah, I think they slow down this offense, and I think what the Packers LaFleur is going to do is realize that Detroit. If you've been watching them the last couple weeks, even with Aiden Hutchinson not being there, they've been blitzing more, way more than they ever been. And I think that Detroit, the Packers go out their way to slow down that blitz. A lot of screens, a lot of draws. It seemed like it's nauseum because some teams just don't figure it out. When you playing against a pass rush, the best way to beat a pass rush is draw plays and screens. But I think the Packers going to beat them. I think this is good. This two team race, two right now for the top division in football, the North. It's going to be a fight. This will be the game of the week.
Yeah. I mean, for most people, it will be. I agree with that. Again, I got my eyes on that Bears Cardinals. All right. So, in about an hour and a half, okay, the most dysfunctional team in the NFL will be in Mercedes Benz Stadium. Dallas Cowboys at 3-4, taking on the Atlanta Falcons at 5-3. Um, there's so much to be said about the Cowboys. For a moment, though, I want to start with the Falcons. Very, very good on offense, man. When you got Cousins, you got Kyle Pitts, you got Drake London, you got Darnell Mooney, you got the running back combo, Bijan Robinson and 25. I can't think of his name right now. I always say his name wrong. I think it's Algent or something like that. He's a really good running back. They got a decent offensive line. One thing I will say about the Falcons, though, they get no pass rush, and
Even with Judon being down there, to get none.
their secondary is average at best. So this could be a get right game for the Dallas Cowboys offense. But I'm gonna be honest with you folks, I can't trust anything about the Dallas Cowboys. We'll get into more details about the team. But if I had to straight pick this game, I have no faith in this team going into Atlanta and coming out with a win.
One of the things, Atlanta has two glaring holes. They don't get a pass rush, and their quarterback is not going to move. He's going to sit exactly where he's going to sit in the pocket. They got great skill position players. This could be a long night for whoever has to carry Kyle Pitts. Whatever they decide to do with who's sticking Kyle Pitts, if the Cowboys do something dumb and it's not Jordan Lewis, it's going to be a long, long, long afternoon. It could be over very quickly if Jordan Lewis is not sticking Kyle Pitts. Um, as a person that's a Cowboy fan, the Cowboys are ranked last in stopping the run and running. The Cowboys, if you're being objective, they have nothing that you can hang your hat on. It's kind of crazy to for anybody, Vegas, anybody, FanDuel, whatever them gambling sites, anybody. Why would they pick the Cowboys? There's nothing the Dallas Cowboys have shown this year why you would think they can go to Atlanta and be the winning football team. But as they say in football, any given Sunday. So if you're a Cowboy fan, that's all you can lay your hat on. You can't lay your hat. Their offense can get right, or their offense can implode based off of a turnover, and then you could see it in the body line. One thing about this Cowboy team that I'm gonna say, you will know if they quit by the first quarter, because what they did in the fourth quarter last week was what they could potentially do. What they did in the third quarter and what they didn't do in the third quarter is what they've been doing. It's legitimately, in me and Dwayne's opinion, the most dysfunctional franchise in the NFL. Sometimes you don't want to say that about the team you root for, but when you watch things unfold from the offseason to today, Ezekiel Elliott, they said he'd been missing practices, missing meetings, but he was still getting playing time. And then today, all of a sudden, they decide to make him inactive, and he didn't even travel with the team, and he's possibly will probably be cut this week. So I had a lot to say about them. I mean, they're just the most dysfunctional football team in the NFL, from top to the ball boy.
Yeah,
This is the only team you've seen that had four penalties last week on kickoffs, where you can't even move until the receiver touches the ball.
um, one hand is not talking to the other. There's a disconnect between this front office and this coaching staff, and you got a lame duck coaching staff. What's going to be very interesting this week and going forward? Seems like Mike McCarthy don't give a crap anymore. What Jerry Jones is going to say, what Jerry Jones is going to do. Um, every week there's some type of off the field thing that overshadows the team. Last week, out of nowhere, Rico Dowdell is sick, so he's not gonna play. Oh, he had a 102-degree temperature. Well, why was he out signing autographs before the game? And why did he stay on the sideline for the whole game if he had a 102-degree temperature? You can't
Then,
believe anything that comes out of the Star, which is the Cowboys facility.
then you got a controversy that went on with Trayvon Diggs and Mike Leslie, where it turned into a joke. Where if you watch Trayvon Diggs, he probably played his best game all year, and then we don't find out till Thursday when the owner slash GM comes out and says he has a small tear in his calf. I personally think, and this is I don't usually do what I'm about to do, but the content creators that do cowboy content, I like y'all. Y'all do good content, but y'all don't be knowing what y'all don't know what y'all don't know as much as y'all think y'all know about this franchise. And what I say is this franchise, right, wrong, and indifferent, keep everything close to the vest when it comes to their decision making. And I think that this year in particular, the content creators and the people who report on the Cowboys have missed the boat.
And I
This
think
fran-
that,
this franchise needs to be called out for being inept. They're inept.
and they're scared to call him out because you saw that Sean and RJ called out Jerry Jones, and then that blew up and being a controversy, and him saying he looks at the media as his brother and sisters, and we got to work together. No, the media's job is to report what's there and what's right. And what's there and what's right is that this team has been mismanaged. And when you talk about the mismanagement of the Dallas Cowboys, you can only put it to the feet of one person, Jerry Jones, because he runs
And,
the whole show. You
and
got Mike McCarthy, who's your head coach, and went on record that saying he does not believe in or like running back by committee. And that's what his general manager gave him. It's like they're not even talking to each other. It's not. It's like Jerry Jones doesn't even care. He's telling Mike McCarthy, "This is what you're gonna get, and you got to coach it."
sometimes,
There's no
sometimes,
collaboration. No,
sometimes, and I'll be one of the first people to say, sometimes Cowboy fans and people who like this team and watch how they operate, they give Jerry Jones the benefit of the doubt. I gave Jerry Jones the benefit of the doubt of years, and a lot. Jerry Jones has been accused of wanting to coach this team, and I always thought it was crazy that people would say that. But I can honestly say I don't know what he's doing as a general manager slash owner, but his influence on Mike McCarthy's decision making is too good. Mike McCarthy, not only that, he was questioned about Deuce Vaughn's playing time, and he said, "I don't like it. I don't like it." Well, you're the coach. You control who's playing. So
absolutely.
we thought.
He
I
said,
think it's just, and I know Stephen A. always used this Murphy's Law theory of anything that could go wrong would go wrong. And I know Stephen A. embellishes all that stuff, but at the bottom line, this is a fire dump organization. Are they that bad? No. They got talent. They were 12-5 3 years in a row. However, when you lose guys, you can't look at last year unless you're the Chiefs as a measuring stick on how this year is going to go. And the reason why it's about three or four things in football that you can't carry over each year. Some teams could do it. Turnovers, injuries, what guys are going to get better and what guys are going to go. Zach Martin, great guard, probably the best guard in Dallas Cowboy history. He's gotten old quick. The injuries for the Cowboys this year have been head scratching. Turnovers, they've been great in turnovers the last 3 years. They can't cause a turnover. They're losing the turnover margin. And for the management of the team, the owner slash GM, and whoever makes it, the rest of the decisions, they've done a piss poor job. You have a $60 million investment under center, and you ran a solid Pro Bowl center away because you didn't think he was worth 10 million. And then you go get a very, very good, promising guard, move him to center. Now he's very good. He has the opportunity to be a lights out center going forward. You have a right tackle who wasn't a great right tackle in college, who was a good right tackle, had all the tools, and draft him to be your starting left tackle, which he's coming with struggles, and he played his best game last game. Then you have a right tackle who's a year and a half away coming off a major ACL. He didn't just tear his ACL, he tore his MCL. He tore 3 ligaments in his knee, who at best he struggled in pass pro and was a mauler running the ball. The Cowboys have nothing. Even if I say to you, Dwayne, and you'll probably agree with me, special teams is their strength. Let them play field position. The kicking game, use the kicking game to their advantage. Even if I say that to you, Dwayne, as an objective Cowboy fan, the first thing you're going to say to me is, I don't trust Bones Fossil. And you're correct. You shouldn't trust him.
Listen, man, the whole thing is a mess. It's a joke. It's very easy to blame it on Ford. It's very easy to blame it on Rain Dakota Prescott. Very easy. I hate to use this term, but that's low hanging fruit. Is he playing well? No, he's playing the worst football of his career. He's pressing. The man has no running game, and he has two weapons that both need to work the middle of the field to be effective. CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson both need to work the middle of the field. And you can't have them both work the middle of the field because you don't have good on the outsides. You don't. This is malpractice, the way that this roster was constructed. Now, defensively, we're playing old football. We're playing old schemes with Mike Zimmer, who's a guy that I never wanted. I didn't want Mike Nolan, and I damn sure didn't want Mike Zimmer. But again, this is Jerry Jones forcing coaches onto the head coach and not stepping away and moving out of the way. Like, you're 82 years old now, Jerry. You've lost your fastball, man. It's okay to say it. You lost your fastball. Step aside. Let Steven do what he's going to do. Let's see what he can do. But right now, the way Mike McCarthy has handled the past week and the way he's talking, I'm going to be very interested to see how he coaches this team going forward in these last 10 games. Because what does he have to lose? He's not coming back. He's a lame duck. So you might as well go out the way you want to go out. And I hope he does it. And I don't want to hear post-game, well, somehow we got to establish the running game and not go away from it. Well, you're the reason that we're going away from it. You call your own plays. And stop giving John Fossil carte blanche to do whatever he wants. You got a kicker that kicks the ball out of the stadium. Let them kick the ball out of the stadium.
and get the team the ball to the 30 instead of doing these short kicks. Because eventually somebody's going to pop one.
And somehow, some way, Mike Zimmer has to scheme up a way to stop the run. Because you got two quality running backs this week, and you're going to be facing a lot of quality running backs in the weeks going forward. And our defense is a sieve. You can run through and around this defense. This defense doesn't know what they're supposed to be doing. If you watch film, and we have the resources through Quentin Ford to see all 22s. If you watch the all 22s, you just see, man, they're out of position. They don't know what gaps they're supposed to control. They don't know if they're blitzing. They don't know if they're in the zone. They just don't know.
The Cowboys all 22 might be the most saddest all 22. Sometimes you'll look at it all 22, and I'll give you guys an explanation. You look at New England's all 22. Okay, it's talent. It's talent. It's not scheme. It's talent. You look at Carolina's all 22 with a rookie coach. Okay, it's talent, a little bit of scheme. You look at Dallas, offensively and defense, they're all 22 is terrible. Receivers too close to each other in the routes. It's I always say this phrase, and I believe in this phrase that you have to marry your plays, the play selection, even though they may be successful. And just to give you guys a tidbit, if you're watching your team, if you watch a series, you want your plays to play off each other. The Cowboys will come out there in two tight end sets, get to 7 yards on first down, then come out there and literally be in an empty set. Dwayne says the phrase, reset your downs. They don't know how to reset their downs. First 15 plays of any team in the NFL is scripted. Every team does it now.
Mhm.
Their first 15 plays, and it will make you scratch your head. But that's all we wanted to talk
That's
about. This
all, man, because we usually don't like to go over in that hour, but and we did with the recap and everything. But hey, man, happy football Sunday, and hope the teams you root for play well, man. And if you can, man, think about the little guy in Quentin Ford as we struggle watching this team that we love once again on the Sunday, and just hope that I don't drink too much beer to get away with what I'm seeing on my TV screen.
with that, you guys have a great day, and remember, faith, football, family.
And I hope y'all put your clocks back. It's going to be dark early. Put a little coal on the fire, turn up the heat, get you some hot cider. It's November. It's football. It's what we do. Have a blessed Sunday, all.